There's a famous saying, the victor writes the history books, but what if the victors also engineered the very tools of victory? Welcome to my channel, and today, let's unveil the shockingly secret weapons of the Roman army. You know the name Julius Caesar, right? Legendary Roman general and dictator. He defeated the Gauls, conquered new lands and made it big in Rome, but there's a secret about him that you probably don't know. He was obsessed with engineering. You see, Caesar knew that winning battles wasn't just about brute force. It was also about brains, planning, and tactics. So he took it up a notch. He wanted to take over Gaul once and for all. So he did something crazy. He built roads. Yep, roads. Not just any roads, though. These were Roman roads. Engineered to last, straight and sturdy, he built about 240 miles of them, connecting his new territories to the rest of Rome. This way, troops and goods could travel easily. But he didn't stop there. He built roads in other places too, like Britain, where he chased Queen Boudicca and her rebel tribe. In fact, he built so many roads that one historian estimated he paved the way for over 6,000 miles of them. That's like walking all the way from New York to Los Angeles and back again. But it wasn't just about the distance, it was about control. These roads weren't just for chariots and horsemen, they were also perfect for marching troops. Caesar's rival, Pompey the Great, understood this too. When he fought with the Roman Senate, he also made lots of roads, over 3,700 miles worth. Basically, whoever controlled the roads controlled the trade, the movement of people, the success of the army. Let me tell you a story about Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa. He was an engineer and general for the Roman Emperor Augustus. Now, Augustus had been fighting a bunch of rivals to become the first emperor of Rome, but even after he won, there were still some rebellions in the east, mostly led by this guy named Archelaus. He raised an army of about 80,000 men and got ready to fight, but Agrippa was there to stop him. He took an elite force of 12,000 Roman soldiers and 4,000 cavalry and headed to Alexandria. When he arrived, he found the city surrounded by high walls and towers. Getting inside seemed impossible, but Agrippa, being the engineer he was, found a way. His team discovered a spot where the walls were 26 feet tall, but only 3 feet thick, so they decided to attack there. They built a ram, a battering ram, which was basically a huge wooden pole with a heavy head that they used to smash the gate. They protected the ram with shields and moved it slowly towards the wall. After hitting the gate several times, they broke it open and entered the city. Soon the whole army was inside and they quickly took control of the main parts of the city, including the royal palace and the harbor. All this happened within 12 days. Archelaus' army was trapped. One of the craziest things about the Roman army was its camps. I mean, when you look at pictures of them, they look like puzzles. Everything was neatly organized and symmetrical. It's like they had a blueprint for building the perfect camp. This way, everyone knew where everything was. Supplies were stored in the middle, away from potential danger. Food and tools were in separate spots and the tents were arranged in neat rows. The reason behind this military engineering marvel was pretty simple: discipline and training. Soldiers were like Legos, fitting together in a grand plan. No one messed around. Officers taught enlisted men how to build and maintain the camps, and everyone pitched in. The camps had names like Legio, meaning legion, and some were huge. Take Camp Halala, for example. It was 10 acres in size with room for 15,000 soldiers, plus horses and servants. And get this, it took them only 2 days to set up. They would work tirelessly, digging trenches and placing stones, even in bad weather. When they traveled, they'd carry tools, pickaxes, and levels to keep everything shipshape. The discipline and uniformity of their camps were a reflection of Roman military might. They were symbols of order amidst chaos, demonstrating the power of organization and training. Meet Titus Livius, a Roman senator and historian who lived from 59 BC to 17 AD. He wrote a book called History of Rome, which tells the story of Rome from its founding in 753 BC to the year 9, It was considered the epitome of Roman historical writing and was highly influential throughout the medieval period. Now let's talk about a Roman invention that was kind of like a spy tool: catapults. Catapults were amazing devices used by the Roman army to hurl objects like rocks, javelins, or even tanks. They were super useful during sieges or battles. The Romans were experts at building different types of catapults like the scorpion, the onager, and the Ballistae. These machines were like giant slingshots or bows and arrows. They had ropes, levers, and pulleys that helped aim and launch their projectiles. To operate these machines, soldiers needed to know basic physics principles like angles and distances. Plus, they had to make sure that the ropes, pulleys, and counterweights were in tip-top shape. If not, the whole thing could break and cause serious injuries. Catapults weren't just about brute strength. It was a mix of science, strategy, and skills. Soldiers had to calculate the angle, the amount of force, and the type of ammunition based on the target. For instance, they might use small rocks for throwing at individual soldiers or larger ones for destroying buildings. They even had special catapults for launching javelins and spears. But it wasn't easy. Operating these machines took teamwork. Soldiers had to work together to load the projectiles, pull the levers, and release the tension. The cool thing about catapults was their versatility. Romans used them for both offensive and defensive purposes. They could attack enemy fortifications or defend their own positions. And when it came to siege warfare, catapults were like superheroes. They could destroy walls, towers, and anything that got in their way. I'm talking about a real-life superhero here, Gaius Julius. He was the guy who invented the Roman corvus, a boarding bridge that helped conquer the Mediterranean. Let me tell you about his incredible journey. So picture this. It's the First Punic War around to 50 BC, and Rome is taking on Carthage. Now Carthage had this awesome navy with ships like the Pentaconter, fast, maneuverable vessels equipped with sharp hooks and rambows. These ships were like sharks attacking enemy vessels and sinking them in no time. But Rome was determined to beat them at their own game. Enter Gaius Julius, the hero of our story. He was a skilled naval engineer and he had a brilliant idea. Why not create a boarding bridge that would allow Roman soldiers to fight on the enemy ships? It was a risky plan, but he presented it to the Roman Senate and they gave him the green light. So he assembled a team of engineers and craftsmen, and they started working on the corvus. It was a solid wooden structure about 8 feet wide and 22 feet long, weighing around 1 ton. The bridge had hooks on both ends, and it could be lowered to form a ramp connecting the two ships. Once the soldiers were on board, they could use their weapons to defeat the enemy crew. With the help of the corvus, Rome was able to win the Battle of the Aegates Islands and gain control of the western Mediterranean. It was a turning point in history, and Julius was a key player. Let's talk about the Roman military's little secrets. They were pretty sneaky about their strategies and innovations, not wanting their enemies to know their tricks. They carefully selected the engineers for their projects, keeping many blueprints and designs under wraps. It was all about protecting their edge. Sometimes they even destroyed their inventions after using them once. Imagine that. One of their cool tricks was building giant bridges that would collapse after helping the army cross a river. They'd use materials like wood, stone, and mud mortar. But when the job was done, they'd take them down so the enemy couldn't use them. Talk about clever. Even the legendary Hannibal Barca, the one who defeated Rome during the Second Punic War, couldn't figure out some of their stuff. He was confused by the Roman fortifications, camps, and siege weapons. He had never seen anything like it. It was like trying to beat an army that had secret weapons and knew how to use them really well. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more amazing historical stories. Ancient Rome is often remembered as a fierce fighting force, a disciplined army that carved out an empire, the Mediterranean. But what often goes unnoticed is the critical support system that allowed this military machine to function. That's right, we're talking about the unsung heroes of the Roman world, They're engineers. But why should we care about these guys? Well, it turns out that they played a much bigger role than you might think. In fact, without their know-how, Rome may never have become the powerhouse it did. Now, I know what you're thinking: gladiators, chariot races, engineering, boring. Trust me, this is anything but. So grab your helmets, hop on your chariots, because we're about to take a wild ride back in time to uncover the secrets of Roman engineering and why it was way cooler than you think. Now let's get to it. Have you ever been stuck on a road trip with nothing but endless fields and highways passing by? Time seems to slow down and boredom sets in, but not during the Roman era. Thanks to Roman engineering, their roads were more than just paths for travelers. They were superhighways designed for the fast movement of troops and trade. So no more stop and robs for the Roman army. Their roads were straight, smooth, and durable. Plus, they even had a drainage system to keep them clear of debris and water. Seriously, it took 2 centuries for the United States to build its first interstate highway system. Meanwhile, Rome was already there. And to show you just how extensive their network was, more than 40,000 miles of paved roads were constructed throughout the empire, connecting even the most remote corners of their territory. How's that for convenience? But it wasn't just about getting from point A to point B. These roads played a crucial role in the Roman army's strategic mobility. Need to move troops quickly? No problem. Want to send supplies to the front line? Easy peasy. Plus, the roads weren't just for ground travel. There were also bridges and aqueducts that allowed the Roman Empire to flourish even across treacherous terrains. Talk about versatility, but here's the best part. The standardization of road construction meant that wherever a legion marched, they could expect the same quality and durability. It was kind of like their own personal concierge service, ensuring their journey was as comfortable as possible. So next time you hit the open road, take a moment to appreciate the legacy of Roman engineering and the impact it had on the development of modern infrastructure. Who knows, you might even find yourself a little less bored on your next road trip. While the mighty Roman army is often the star of the show, let's not forget the unsung hero that kept them fueled for battle: the logistics team. Yep, you heard it right. Keeping an army of thousands well-fed and equipped is no easy feat. But these guys made it look like a piece of cake. Okay, maybe not literally like eating cake, but you get the point. They developed sophisticated systems to ensure that every soldier had the supplies they needed to do their job effectively, and they didn't stop there. They even created efficient ways to store and distribute food, making sure that even if the army was on the move, their bellies were always full. Can't underestimate the importance of a good meal before charging into battle. But wait, there's more. They even thought about what to do when supplies ran low. They established a network of supply depots strategically located throughout the empire. These depots were like little treasure chests filled with everything the army could possibly need, from weapons and armor to food and medicine. And they didn't just pile it all in one big heap. Oh no, they created detailed inventories and accounting records, making sure that everything was accounted for. And if you thought that was impressive, wait till you hear this. They even developed sophisticated tools to track shipments and deliveries, basically the ancient version of Amazon Prime. Thanks to these innovations, the Roman army never had to worry about running out of supplies or not having the tools they needed to do their jobs. It was like having a personal shopper who took care of all your needs before you even knew you had them. No wonder the Roman Empire lasted so long. With a logistics team that could keep an entire army fed and equipped, they were unstoppable. If you've ever seen Gladiator, remember that scene where Russell Crowe's character leads his fellow gladiators in an epic battle against the hordes of the evil emperor? Yeah, that scene where you re on the edge of your seat wondering if the lions make it out alive. Well, it turns out that Roman engineering played a huge role in making that movie come to life. Because you see, Rome wasn't just a bunch of guys in togas throwing spears at each other. They were a highly skilled fighting force with advanced weaponry and tactical expertise. Their soldiers were trained for everything from hand-to-hand combat to operating complex war machines. Not to mention they had some pretty cool gadgets like the pilum, a type of spear that could hook onto shields, disrupting enemy formations. Or how about the Scorpio, a massive crossbow that could shoot arrows like a freaking catapult? And then there was the Colosseum, an engineering marvel that could hold 50,000 spectators and featured things like retractable roofs and elaborate trapdoors. It was the ultimate battle arena where gladiators could fight to the death, or staged battles between animals like lions and elephants could occur. But it wasn't just about the weapons and buildings. Roman engineering also played a major role in their military strategy. Take roads, for example. Rome built an extensive network of paved roads that connected the far reaches of their empire. This allowed for quick and easy troop movement, which was essential for winning battles and maintaining control over their vast territories. And don't forget about fortifications. Roman engineers were masters at building strong, defensible structures like castles and city walls that could withstand attacks from enemy forces. Just take a look at Hadrian's Wall in Britain, which stretched over 73 miles and was designed to keep out invaders from Scotland. So yeah, Roman engineering was pretty badass, and it's no wonder it left a lasting impact on the world. From the weapons they developed to the infrastructure they built, their innovations helped them become one of the most successful militaries in history. Next time you watch Gladiator, be sure to pay attention to the engineering and logistics of it all. You might just learn a thing or two. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the Roman soldiers knew they were in trouble. Their numbers were dwindling and their supplies were low. But they had one last trick up their sleeves, a secret weapon that would turn the tide of battle in their favor. Roman siege engineering. If you've ever been stuck in traffic behind a slow-moving truck, you know how frustrating it can be. But imagine being trapped inside a city under siege. That's where Roman siege engineering came in. The Romans were masters of building siege engines and other devices that could break through enemy defenses and bring victory to their side. One of their most famous inventions was the Ballistae, a type of crossbow that could shoot arrows over long distances with deadly accuracy. The Romans also developed advanced catapults that could hurl rocks and other objects over high walls. And if that wasn't enough, they even built battering rams that could smash through gates and break down fortifications. With their arsenal of siege weapons, the Romans could attack from a safe distance without risking the lives of their soldiers. But it wasn't just about brute force. Roman siege engineers also used their knowledge of mathematics and physics to develop sophisticated siege tactics. For example, they knew how to use levers and pulleys to lift heavy objects over obstacles, or how to dig tunnels under enemy walls and collapse them from below. The Romans even developed siege towers that could reach the top of city walls, allowing their soldiers to fight their way in. And let's not forget about the infamous Roman testudo formation, which involved interlocking shields to protect soldiers as they approached enemy fortifications. Overall, Roman siege engineering was a combination of brute force and scientific knowledge that allowed them to conquer some of the toughest cities in the ancient world. Their ability to adapt and innovate on the battlefield gave them a huge advantage over their enemies and helped secure their place in history. The Roman Empire is known for its military might, conquering vast territories and leaving an indelible mark on history. Yet their dominance wasn't solely achieved through brute force. A crucial aspect of their success lay in their ability to lay siege to and capture fortified cities. But amid the wars and battles fought by the Roman Empire, the Romans excelled in developing sophisticated siege machines that enabled them to breach the most formidable fortresses. This innovation was no accident, but the result of centuries of accumulated expertise in military engineering. Roman commanders understood that success in besieging fortified cities required more than just human force. It demanded machines capable of smashing walls, crossing moats, and terrifying defenders. Among these machines, names such as massive battering rams, precisely designed catapults, and mobile siege towers stood out as revolutionary advancements in siege warfare. Join us as we explore how the Romans revolutionized siege warfare with their incredible war machines. The battering ram, or Ares as the Romans called it, was one of the most effective siege tools. These rams were crafted from sturdy tree trunks, covered with soaked animal hides to protect them from fire, and suspended on mobile frames that allowed soldiers to swing them forcefully against walls. Some were equipped with roofs to shield troops from arrows and stones. Rams were not only used to break gates, but also to weaken wall foundations until they crumbled, opening gaps through which Roman soldiers stormed to capture the city. History records numerous instances where relentless ramming caused entire sections of fortifications to crumble, allowing Roman troops to enter and conquer the city. The use of the battering ram was widespread during ancient warfare. However, the Romans made significant improvements to its design and construction, creating a more effective and versatile weapon for siege warfare. Catapults represented the pinnacle of Roman mechanical innovation. Among the various types developed by the Romans were the Ballistae and the classic onager. The Ballistae operated on a torsion principle, using twisted ropes to generate immense force, launching arrows or large stones with deadly precision. Meanwhile, the traditional onager utilized a counterweight to hurl heavy projectiles over long distances. These machines were not only instrumental in demolishing walls, but also in sowing terror among defenders by flinging rotting animal carcasses or flaming oil pots into the city to spread disease and fires. Siege towers were another critical component of Roman siege warfare. The Romans constructed massive wooden towers mounted on wheels, covered with damp hides to prevent burning. These towers were slowly pushed toward the walls, and once close enough, soldiers would descend via movable bridges to storm the defenses. Some towers featured elevated platforms for archers to rain arrows down on defenders, providing cover for advancing troops. These siege towers proved instrumental in capturing cities like Carthage and Jerusalem, where they played a pivotal role in breaking enemy morale. The siege tower was a common sight in medieval battlefields, but the Romans elevated its use in siege warfare. They recognized the psychological impact of these towers on defenders and the effectiveness in breaching fortifications. Mobile ladders were another innovative device employed by the Romans during sieges. These ladders were designed to overcome the obstacle of a moat or a wall's protective ditch. Unlike traditional siege ladders, mobile ladders could be moved closer to the top of the wall, reducing the risk of defenders pulling them down. The Romans also introduced covered trenches, a technique to approach the city walls under the cover of a retractable shield. This innovation minimized casualties from enemy archers and projectiles, allowing soldiers to get closer to the walls unopposed. These covered approaches were instrumental in breaching defenses and achieving victories in sieges. Another technique used by the Romans was the construction of towers near the city walls, which allowed archers to bombard the city with arrows and hurl projectiles, weakening the defenders and demoralizing them before any direct assault. Furthermore, Roman engineers demonstrated skill in creating pontoon bridges to cross rivers and streams that may impede their path to a city. These bridges consisted of boats or rafts linked together, forming a temporary roadway across water barriers. The construction of such bridges showcased Roman engineering prowess and resourcefulness, enabling them to overcome natural obstacles in their quest to conquer fortified positions. Another remarkable Roman innovation was the development of mobile cranes used in siege warfare. These cranes, often constructed from siege tower components after its dismantling, were instrumental in lifting and transporting heavy siege equipment like catapults to strategic locations near the city walls. Their mobility allowed for flexibility in positioning siege engines, enhancing their effectiveness in bombarding and breaching fortifications. Moreover, these cranes proved invaluable when dismantling towers, facilitating the army's swift relocation and adaptability during sieges. Roman military engineers also excelled in undermining enemy fortifications through tunneling. By digging tunnels beneath the city walls, Romans could create breaches without direct confrontation. This technique involved intricate engineering and coordination as soldiers excavated tunnels and simultaneously filled them with explosives or unstable materials. The subsequent explosions or collapses could create openings in the walls, allowing Roman forces to enter and capture the city. This innovative approach to siege warfare showcased Roman adaptability and problem-solving skills, confounding enemy defenses and achieving strategic objectives. In addition to these offensive strategies, Romans effectively combined their military innovations with a deep understanding of logistics and planning. Before commencing a siege, Roman commanders would meticulously assess the city's defenses and resources, devising comprehensive plans that factored in all aspects of the operation. This included determining the optimal location for camps and positioning siege equipment. Logistical planning was crucial for the army's well-being during sieges, ensuring a steady supply of food, water, and reinforcements. The combination of military innovations and logistical efficiency made the Roman army a formidable force in siege warfare, enabling them to capture well-fortified cities and expand their empire. One of the most iconic examples of Roman siege warfare prowess was the capture of the city of Masada in 73 AD, the Roman siege of Masada. A Jewish fortress located on a plateau in the Judean desert, serves as a testament to the effectiveness of Roman siege warfare tactics and engineering. The Romans, under the command of Flavius Silva, laid siege to the fortress, which had been occupied by Jewish rebels. Despite the fortress's seemingly impenetrable location, the Romans managed to construct siege towers and ramps to reach the top of the plateau. They also used catapults to hurl battering rams and other projectiles, gradually weakening the fortress's defenses. After a prolonged siege, the Romans successfully captured Masada, showcasing the effectiveness of their siege warfare strategies and engineering skills in overcoming seemingly impassable fortifications. The destruction of the city of Carthage in the late 3rd century BC is another notable example. The Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage were a series of conflicts fought between the Roman Republic and the Carthaginian Empire from 264 to 146 BC. During the Third Punic War, Rome's objective was the total destruction of Carthage. After a lengthy siege, Roman forces under the command of Scipio Africanus stormed the city. The Romans employed various siege weapons, including catapults and battering rams, to demolish Carthage's strong fortifications. Once inside the city, Roman soldiers engaged in fierce battles with Carthaginian defenders. Eventually, Carthage's resistance crumbled and the city was completely destroyed. This event exemplified the effectiveness of Roman siege warfare tactics and the power of their military arsenal in subduing fortified cities. Finally, the siege and capture of Jerusalem in 70 AD marked a significant event in Roman history. The Jewish revolt against Roman rule in Judea led to the siege of Jerusalem by Roman forces under the command of Titus. The Romans constructed a massive siege camp and employed catapults and battering rams to assault the city as formidable walls. Despite fierce resistance from Jewish defenders, the Romans successfully breached the walls and captured Jerusalem. The siege resulted in the destruction of the Second Temple and the dispersal of the Jewish people. This event demonstrated the ruthlessness and military proficiency of the Romans in subjugating rebel cities and highlighted the destructive power of their siege warfare strategies. Through centuries of warfare, the Romans refined their siegecraft, amassing a collection of tactics, machines, and methods that left few fortifications unbreachable. Their successes can be attributed to a combination of factors. First, the sheer variety of their siege arsenal allowed them to adapt to different situations. Whether facing high walls, deep moats, or stubborn defenders, the Romans had a tool to counter it. Second, Roman siegecraft wasn't just about brute force, but also strategy and logistics. They understood the importance of planning, constructing proper siege camps, and ensuring supplies, all crucial elements often overlooked in the heat of battle. Third, the Roman army's size and discipline were key. Sieges often took time and manpower. Rome's pool of soldiers and its capacity to deploy them effectively gave it an edge. Finally, Roman engineering and innovation constantly improved. Each siege was a learning experience, each innovation building on the last, pushing the boundaries of what was possible and intimidating even the most steadfast defenses. In conclusion, the Roman siege machines offer a compelling testament to human ingenuity and a relentless pursuit of progress. As we reflect on their remarkable creations, let us appreciate the profound impact they had on military history and the enduring legacy they have left behind. Moreover, let us recognize the valuable lessons these ancient innovations provide for modern times. In an era where technology continues to advance at an unprecedented pace, the principles of innovation, adaptability, and strategic thinking demonstrated by the Romans remain timeless. By studying and emulating their approach to problem solving, we can better navigate the complexities of our own challenges and strive to create solutions that are not only effective, but also efficient and forward-thinking. In doing so, we honor the rich heritage of human ingenuity and contribute to the advancement of our own capabilities in tackling the problems that lie ahead. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up to support our work. Your support helps us create more engaging and educational content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on our latest videos. How did Roman roads improve military logistics and troop movements? The backdrop, challenges of terrain and logistics before the Roman road building era, military operations were significantly constrained by the limitations of the terrain. The lack of efficient roadways caused several headaches for commanders. First, armies were forced to rely on animal pack animals for moving goods. This not only slowed down the rate of troop movement, but also limited the amount of supplies that could be carried. Because of this, provisions were often scarce, causing hunger, low morale, and a less effective fighting force. The situation was further complicated by the fact that Roman armies, like most ancient armies, relied primarily on foraging for food while on campaign, which proved to be an unreliable and unsustainable practice. When soldiers were forced to spend precious time searching for food instead of training or resting, it not only made them vulnerable to enemy attacks, but also led to exhaustion and attrition. Moreover, marching across rough terrain was a slow and arduous process. Armies were compelled to stick to elevated ground, making their movements predictable and limiting their ability to maneuver. Consequently, battles were often fought on unfavorable terms, reducing the element of surprise and increasing the chances of casualties. Also, if a river had to be crossed and there was no bridge, the army would be stalled until a raft or boat could be found. The slow and uncertain pace of troop movement, as we've already seen, marching along muddy paths, rocky terrain, or through dense forest cover was a terribly slow process, often taking 20 to 30 days to cover just 100 miles. The result was an army spread thin over a large area with little ability to concentrate its forces quickly. This not only increased vulnerability to surprise attacks, but also posed significant challenges for supply and logistics. Battles could be lost or won based on who received supplies first. The significance of speed and efficiency in warfare. In contrast to the difficulties of the pre-road building era, Roman roads offered a solution to these problems. By creating a network of efficient and durable roadways, Rome was able to solve the problem of slow and unpredictable troop movements. The durability of Roman roads was a testament to the advanced engineering techniques used in their construction. These roads were built to withstand the test of time and were designed to resist erosion, shifting sands, and heavy traffic. They featured a sophisticated layering system consisting of large stones at the base, followed by smaller stones and gravel, topped with a layer of sand. This design ensured that the roads remained solid and level, capable of bearing the weight of chariots, cavalry, and heavy military equipment. Furthermore, the Roman engineers paid attention to the drainage of the roads. They built ditches alongside the road to divert water away from the surface, which helped to prevent the road from becoming waterlogged and susceptible to damage. This focus on durability was crucial for military logistics because it ensured that the roads could support the heavy traffic of an army without frequent repairs or maintenance. Troops and supplies could move swiftly and reliably from one location to another without worrying about the road deteriorating under their weight. As a result, the reliability of Roman roads contributed to the efficiency and effectiveness of the Roman military machine, enabling it to operate smoothly and achieve its strategic goals. But the benefits of Roman roads went beyond just their durability. Their efficiency in facilitating troop movements was equally remarkable. Roman roads were straight and well-paved, which allowed for smoother and faster travel. This was particularly important for military applications as it reduced the time required to move troops and supplies. The efficiency of the roads allowed for quicker troop deployments, enabling the Roman army to respond rapidly to threats or seize strategic positions. It also facilitated the movement of large numbers of soldiers and equipment, allowing for the concentration of forces where they were most needed. Additionally, the efficiency of Roman roads enabled better communication and coordination within the Roman military. Messengers could travel along the roads at a steady pace, ensuring the timely delivery of messages. This was crucial for maintaining discipline and order among the troops, as well as for coordinating military operations. Overall, the efficiency of Roman roads was a key factor in the success of the Roman military. They enabled quick and reliable troop movements, facilitating military operations, communication, and coordination. The roads were designed to withstand the demands of military traffic, and their efficiency reduced the time required for troop deployments and supply runs. These factors contributed to the effectiveness and dominance of the Roman army throughout the empire. The reach and impact of the Roman road network. During the height of the Roman Empire, the road network spanned over 40,000 miles, connecting major cities, military bases, and resource-rich regions. This extensive network facilitated not only troop movements, but also trade and communication throughout the empire. Some of the most famous Roman roads include the Via Appia, the first major Roman road built in the 6th century BC, which connected Rome to the port of Brindisi. The Via Flaminia, constructed in the 2nd century BC, linked Rome to the northern provinces, and the famous Via Aemilia, which ran through the heartland of Italy, connecting major cities such as Florence and Rimini. The construction of these roads and many others was a monumental undertaking that required significant resources and manpower. The Roman state invested heavily in road building, employing thousands of laborers, including convicts and slaves, to undertake the massive projects. However, the investment paid off in terms of the efficiency and effectiveness of the military that resulted. The impact of the Roman road network on the military logistics and troop movements was profound. The roads enabled the rapid deployment of troops, allowing the Roman army to respond quickly to threats or seize strategic positions. They also facilitated the efficient movement of supplies and equipment, ensuring that the troops were well-equipped and sustained during campaigns. Additionally, the roads enabled better communication and coordination among military units, allowing for more effective strategies and tactics on the battlefield. The Roman road network was a crucial factor in the success of the Roman military machine. It enabled swift and reliable troop movements, efficient supply lines, and effective communication, contributing to the dominance of the Roman Empire for centuries. Beyond the realm of warfare, the Roman roads played a vital role in unifying and stabilizing the empire. They facilitated trade and cultural exchange, fostering economic growth and a sense of common identity among the diverse regions of the Roman world. As the empire expanded, the road network expanded with it, ensuring that even the most remote provinces were connected to the heartland of Italy. The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, which characterized much of the empire's history, was in part made possible by the stability and security provided by the extensive road system. The enduring legacy of Roman roads. Although the Roman Empire eventually fell, the legacy of its road-building achievements lived on. Many medieval and early modern armies continued to use the Roman roads, recognizing their strategic importance. Even today, many modern highways in Europe follow the routes of the ancient Roman roads, a testament to their enduring significance. In conclusion, The Roman roads were not just engineering marvels, but essential components of the Roman military machine. They facilitated troop movements, enabled rapid communication, and ensured the efficient deployment of resources, thereby contributing significantly to the success of the Roman army. The network of roads enabled the empire to thrive economically, culturally, and politically, fostering unity, stability, and growth throughout its vast territories. Even today, the legacy of Roman roads continues to influence transportation systems and military strategy, serving as a reminder of the enduring impact of Roman engineering and planning. Thank you for watching. In this sprawling canvas of history, few civilizations have left a mark as enduring as that of the Romans. Renowned for their military prowess, their feats of engineering continue to echo through time, shaping our modern understanding of innovation and strategy. Central to this narrative are the Roman forts and camps, silent sentinels that once hummed with the energy of legions past. These weren't just places of refuge for soldiers. They were microcosms of Roman efficiency, a blend of strategic brilliance, organizational precision, and raw engineering power. Welcome to my channel, and today let's embark on a journey back in time. We will unravel the secrets hidden within the very foundations of these timeless structures. Why? Because here, where earth meets sky, where wood and stone find purpose, there lies a tale waiting to be told. A story of a bygone era that whispers to us of a time when Rome wasn't just a name, it was a way of life. Join me as we traverse the rugged terrains of history, scaling the heights of Hadrian's Wall and venturing into the heart of Roman fortresses. Together, we'll explore the ingenious minds that conceived these marvels, the sweat and grit of the laborers who brought them to life, the echoes of marching feet that once resonated within their protective walls. By the end of this journey, you won't just be a spectator. You'll be a part of the story, feeling the weight of the past on your shoulders and the thrill of discovery in your heart. So fasten your seatbelts, history buffs, and armchair generals, because we're about to take off. Our destination, the sky's the limit, so let's dive right in. At the heart of any great military force is logistics, a term that in the time of Rome meant planning, organizing, and executing with the precision that only the most intricate clockwork mechanism could achieve. When it came to the construction of their forts and camps, the Romans didn't just leave things to chance. No, they had manuals, systematic guides that dictated every step of the process from initial surveying to the placement of the final stake. The Manual of Field Engineering, known as the Frontinus, was the Bible that officers turned to, its pages filled with instructions that ensured no detail was too small to be ignored. It tells us about everything from choosing a suitable location, considering factors like terrain, climate, and proximity to resources, to the actual construction methods and the types of materials to be used. There was even a set procedure for dealing with unexpected circumstances. What if a river changed its course, or the ground proved unexpectedly marshy? The manual had solutions for that too. But it wasn't just about following a book. It was about adapting, improvising, and innovating. The Romans learned from every new assignment, every interaction with different landscapes and terrains. Take, for example, the camps in Germania and Pannonia. Faced with the threat of Germanic tribes, the Romans built massive camps with double rows of palisades and deep ditches. In contrast, the camps in Pannonia, where the terrain was flat and open, had more rectangular shapes and fewer defensive features. Each camp was a unique response to the challenges of its location, demonstrating the adaptability of Roman military engineering. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the very basics. The cornerstone of any camp or fort was its location. This wasn't just a strategic decision, it was a calculated one based on the principles of defense and convenience. For instance, the choice of materials dictated much of the construction method. In regions like Britannia, where timber was abundant, the camps often featured substantial wooden elements, reflecting the local resource availability. On the other hand, in stone-rich areas like Dalmatia, the emphasis was on masonry, giving us some of the most enduring examples of Roman engineering. Then there were the natural barriers, Rivers, lakes, and hillsides weren't just geographical features. They were potential sources of defensive advantage. By leveraging these natural elements, the Romans reduced the need for extensive man-made fortifications, optimizing both resources and manpower. One particularly brilliant example was the Antonine Wall in Scotland, which took advantage of the natural contours of the land, creating a barrier that was as effective as it was awe-inspiring. Now, let's talk logistics, because what good is a strategically sound location if you can't efficiently utilize it? Here again, the Romans had a system. Camps were not just thrown together wherever space allowed. They were meticulously planned, organized into zones, each with its specific purpose. The commander's headquarters, the granaries, the workshops, even the latrines, all had their designated spots within the overall layout. And this wasn't a static plan, it was a fluid one, adjusted and adapted based on the needs of the campaign, the size of the force, and even the season. During times of peace, the layout might prioritize administration and storage. But when the drums of war sounded, the camp would quickly transform into a well-oiled machine of military activity. It was a testament to the Roman ability to balance order with flexibility, a trait that contributed significantly to their longevity. And then there was the matter of construction. Here again, the Romans combined the best of two worlds, the precision of planned engineering and the practicality of on-site improvisation. Every fort and camp was a unique blend of design and adaptation, tailored to the specific challenges and opportunities presented by its location. Take, for instance, the camps in Rhaetia and Noricum. In these mountainous regions, the construction techniques took on a new dimension. The traditional wooden palisades were replaced by massive stone walls, sometimes as high as 26 feet. These structures weren't just defensive bulwarks. They were symbols of resilience, standing as silent witnesses to the harsh terrains they once protected. Similarly, the camps in Dacia and Maesia, built during the campaigns of Emperor Trajan, showcased a different facet of Roman engineering. Given the scarcity of wood in these regions, the Romans made ingenious use of brick and stone, giving rise to some of the most sophisticated masonry structures in military architecture. These varied approaches to construction weren't just responses to environmental conditions. They were also practical, cost-effective solutions that maximized the use of local resources, a testament to the Roman ability to balance military needs with economic constraints. Beyond the physical structures, Roman camps were hubs of activity, miniature cities teeming with life and purpose. There were the barracks, home to the soldiers who made up the backbone of the Roman military machine. There were the armories, where weapons were stored and maintained, each spear and sword a testament to the military might of Rome. Field hospitals were also established to care for the wounded, reflecting the value the Romans placed on the health and well-being of their soldiers. Even public baths were present, offering not just a place for hygiene, but a social hub where soldiers could relax and unwind. It was a microcosm of Roman culture, a blend of discipline, organization, and the pursuit of civic duty. And at the heart of this microcosm was the commander's headquarters, a place where decisions were made that often had far-reaching consequences. It wasn't just a place of administration, it was a symbol of authority, a reminder of the chain of command that kept the Roman military machine running smoothly. Today, as we look back at these remnants of a bygone era, it's easy to be awestruck. But amidst the grandeur, there's a lesson in simplicity, a reminder of how a seemingly complex system can be understood, managed, and appreciated piece by piece. The story of Roman forts and camps isn't just a historical footnote. It's a masterclass in efficiency, a testament to the genius of Roman engineering, and a reminder of the human spirit's ability to conquer challenges through knowledge, skill, and sheer determination. Thanks for joining me on this journey through time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering. Who knows? You might just uncover the next big thing in history. Stay curious, stay engaged, and above all, stay hungry for knowledge. Remember, the past isn't just something we study. It's a living, breathing entity that shapes our present and future. So let's keep digging, keep exploring, and keep sharing our findings. The world of history is vast and there's so much more to uncover. And I, for one, am excited to be on this journey with all of you. Rome wasn't just built in a day, but if you wanted to build a fort in a hurry, you followed the Roman way. Meet the Romans, masters of engineering, conquering the known world one well-built road, bridge, and aqueduct at a time. But they weren't just about spreading their sheet everywhere. These guys had a system, a way of doing things that made their infrastructure last for centuries and inspired stuff even today. And let me tell you, it's pretty cool. You know those epic movies where the hero has to cross a raging river to save the day? Well, that was no big deal for the Romans. They built some seriously impressive bridges that could take the weight of chariots and elephants. Their secret, using arches and concrete. Arches may seem simple, but they were a game changer. They took the weight of the bridge and spread it out, letting them build longer and stronger structures without using giant stone blocks. It's like using leverage, but for bridges. And concrete, well, that's the stuff dreams are made of, especially for the Romans. They invented Roman concrete, which got stronger over time. Regular concrete, sets up in a few weeks, but Roman concrete kept hardening for decades. And get this, it could even cure underwater, thanks to a special mix of ingredients. They added volcanic ash and seawater, which created a super strong, super durable material that could handle the weight of heavy ships and stood the test of time. And it's not just bridges. Roman concrete was used for roads, aqueducts, and buildings. Some Roman roads are still used today, and their aqueducts brought water to cities without using steel. That's why studying Roman engineering is so important. They did incredible stuff with limited tools and materials. Their roads, for example, were built to last. They used layers of materials like stone, gravel, and sand to create a strong base. And instead of asphalt, they used big flat stones that were carefully laid out. It sounds simple, but it worked. Roman roads could be traveled by chariot or on foot, and some were still in use 1,000 years later. Plus, they built roads with gentle slopes, making travel easier and safer. No steep hills or sharp turns, but the coolest part, their roads were connected. Imagine that, a network of roads linking distant provinces. It made trade easier, armies could move quickly, and news could spread fast. It's no wonder their road system lasted so long. It's a blueprint for modern roads. And the Romans knew how to make an entrance. Their triumphal arches were not only beautiful, they were a symbol of power. Built to celebrate victories, they showed off the might of Rome. Now, building arches isn't easy, but the Romans took it to the next level with their concrete arches. They could build them quickly using prefabricated parts, then fill them with concrete and decorate them with fancy sculptures. But arches aren't just about looks and strength, they're also about function. They allowed the Romans to build aqueducts that brought water to cities without using big dams or reservoirs. Instead of building big structures, they used gravity and the slope of the land to move water. Thanks to their concrete arches, aqueducts could be built over rivers and valleys, bringing clean water to millions. Now, the Romans didn't just conquer land, they conquered sea. Their navy was unmatched and they built some incredible harbors. Take the port of Ostia, for example. It was a hive of activity with warehouses, shops, and even a lighthouse. The harbor was protected by concrete walls and docks that could handle lots of ships. It was a key part of the Roman supply chain, bringing food and goods to the empire's heart. The Romans kept their supply lines open by moving grain from farms in North Africa to hungry mouths in Rome, and it's no surprise that their ports played a big role. They had big warehouses and used carts and animals to move goods around, but the star of the show was the crane. They used cranes to load and unload ships, move heavy stuff, and build breakwaters. Cranes were powered by humans or animals, but they were worth it. They helped the Romans move massive blocks of stone and build big projects like their harbors. But it wasn't all about brute force. The Romans were smart about their engineering too. They built latrines, sewer systems, and public baths that could handle lots of people. They used pipes and sewage systems to move waste away from the city and keep it clean. And who doesn't love a good bath after a hard day of conquering? The Romans were experts at surveying land and making maps. They used simple tools like rods and ropes to measure distances and create accurate maps. This helped them plan roads, aqueducts, and even military campaigns. They were so good at surveying that their maps are still used today. And let's not forget the military. Roman soldiers were trained to build camps and fortifications quickly and efficiently. They used a standard pattern for their camps with a rectangle shape and clear boundaries. Inside, there were places for soldiers to sleep, eat, and store their gear. This made life on the road more bearable and helped keep order among the troops, but it wasn't just about building camps. Roman soldiers also built roads, bridges, and other structures to support the army's needs. They used their engineering skills to solve problems wherever they went, from building bridges to repairing damaged roads. They even built towers and fortifications to protect themselves and the people they were supposed to protect. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Roman engineering was their ability to absorb new ideas and improve upon them. For example, they learned how to build arches and concrete from the Greeks and the Etruscans, but they took it to a whole new level. They also built on the knowledge of other cultures, like the Egyptians, and adapted it to their own needs. They even integrated new technologies into their existing systems, like using cranes to build aqueducts. Now, the Romans weren't perfect. Their projects weren't always successful, and sometimes they caused problems for the people they were trying to help. Like their aqueducts, while amazing feats of engineering, could also carry diseases along with the water. But they tried their best to make things better for the people of Rome and beyond. They left behind a legacy that inspired future generations of engineers and helped shape the world we live in today. So the next time you see a bridge or a road or even a bathroom, think about the Romans and the amazing things they built. They may be gone, but their work lives on, and hey, maybe one day you'll invent something that inspires people 2,000 years from now. You never know, so keep building, keep innovating, and keep making the world a better place, one brick at a time.